Welcome to Mindless Entertainment. My name is Jesse Milestone, and this is meant to offend. So if you're offended, good. Yes, today we are doing a meant to offend video all about gluten. Hooray! Why are we doing this video? This seems like a weird topic for you to cover, Jesse. Yeah, I know, but we're doing this video because I do videos about things I have feelings about. And ever since last weekend, when I saw a really stupid sign, I have a lot of feelings about this. What was the sign, you ask? Great, I'll tell you. Alright, so last week I'm in a convention center, and they had a water ice stand. And the water ice stand had a sign on it announcing that the water ice that it sold was gluten-free. If you need a sign to indicate to you that water ice is gluten-free, you need to die. Just die. Just stop living right now because you're doing a very tragically bad job of it. And if you need signs like that to live, it is probably taking way too much effort for you to stay alive every day anyway, and you should just die. No! There is no gluten in freaking water ice, and you shouldn't need a damn sign to tell you that. Likewise, you should not need a sign to tell you that chicken stock is gluten-free or that cranberries are gluten-free. You should not need this. You should shoot yourself in the face. Anyway, all right. So I am going to discuss le gluten with y'all and drop some science on you. So get ready, put your science pants on, because we're going to get sciencey. Before we continue, I just want to ask a very simple question. Very simple question. Do you know what gluten is? What is gluten? Please tell me. I'll wait. Well, actually hit pause because I won't wait. If you know what gluten is, pause now, drop it in the comments. Bam! Drop your gluten knowledge on me. Don't look it up. Don't cheat. It's fine. Like, why bother going to look it up? I'm about to tell you. So if you don't already know, just keep watching the video and I'll explain it. But yeah, drop some knowledge in the comments. You get some partial credit if you can name me a few of the main food groups, food items, things that gluten is found in. You get bitch slapped in the next century if you name a food that gluten is not in. So, what is gluten? Gluten is a protein, guys. It's not an evil demon monster that lives in our food. It is a protein. Guess who's intolerant to gluten? People with celiac disease. That's an autoimmune disease where if they eat gluten, it makes them feel real crappy and they vomit and they have bloatiness and sometimes skin crap and they can get really, really, really sick. Really, really sick. People with Hashimoto's is another autoimmune disease, frequently experience massive flare-ups of their symptoms when they're eating gluten. And there may be some other autoimmune diseases that are affected or made worse by gluten. And aside from that, you don't have a gluten intolerance. You don't. If you think you do, you might be stupid. You might be pre-celiacs. You might be starting to exhibit symptoms. You may have, sometimes you can have a less sensitive, I'm pretty sure there's there can be a spectrum where, like, especially if you're just starting to exhibit symptoms, they won't be as bad. It may not be full blown, based on other lifestyle choices that may or may not have exacerbated the illness. You may have a wheat allergy. That's more common than people think. You can be allergic to wheat. Wheat is not gluten. Gluten is not wheat. Gluten is in wheat. Gluten is not wheat. Wheat is not gluten. All right, have we covered that? Are we clear? Cool. Right, so what is gluten found in? The primary foods that gluten is found in are wheat, rye, and barley. Now, because science, they've been able to take gluten out of things, and because it's mushy and gushy and squishy and sticky, I guess, it's used as a good bonding agent. So gluten can occasionally be found in certain surprising things like medication and like processed lunch meat, because I guess it's a good binding agent for the meat. So processed foods, it can kind of sneak its way in there because it does weird things, but processed foods are gross anyway, so don't eat them. Also, gluten is frequently found in sauces because the thickening agent for a lot of sauces is flour. So there you go. And flour is made from wheat, which contains gluten. So those are the main places you find gluten. Yeah, it can sneak into other places through like weird mechanical processes or food you just didn't know had flour in it. But for the most part, that's the big ones. And I'll name you a few foods that do not have gluten in them. That would be any vegetable. Potatoes do not have gluten. Fruit. No fruit has gluten in it. Rice does not have gluten in it. Unless, of course, it is glutinous rice, in which case you'll know it has gluten in it because it's called glutinous rice. yeah, these things, oatmeal, oats do not have gluten in them. However, if you do have celiacs, they're frequently processed on things that have gluten in it, so, be careful. But no, these things do not have gluten in them, right? They do not have gluten in them. You know what does, though? Beer. Beer has gluten in it. So if you're, like, sipping on your Stella being like, I'm gluten-free, fuck you, no, you're not. No, you're not. Soy sauce has gluten in it. So if you're dipping your sushi and you're like, you're not ricey sushi because you somehow think rice has gluten in it, you're dipping that in soy sauce anyway, you're stupid. Gluten in soy sauce. It's not in everything. It's not like running around jumping into your green beans or into your turkey or into your cheese. There's no gluten in cheese. Guys, come on. And there's no medical evidence to suggest that a gluten intolerance is a real thing. There have been some studies. These studies have not actually isolated gluten as the particular issue. The popular theory in the medical world is that a lot of these random intolerances, insensitivities, irritable bowel issues actually come from too many FODMAPs in your food. That's right, FODMAPs. We're gonna get super sciencey here. What is a FODMAP? FODMAPs are fermentable monosaccharides and polyols. I did it. I remembered it. Hooray for me. It's a type of sugar. It's a type of sugar that ferments in your gut, and that fermentation process causes the bloating. It can cause the upset stomach, the digestive issues, the diarrhea. Yeah, FODMAPs. FODMAPs might be your culprit. They're found in wheat along with gluten. FODMAPs are also found in other foods like lentils and mushrooms. So if you eat a butt ton of mushrooms, you ain't saving yourself if FODMAPs are your real problem, which they probably are. Because you're probably eating way too many stupid overprocessed foods that are bad for you anyway, so you drop those FODMAPs in there and your body's like, no, I don't like this. So the reality is just eat healthier instead. Now, why? Why am I bothering? Like, what? If I want to be gluten-free, I can be gluten-free. Sure, you can be gluten-free, but the problem is because so few people actually know what gluten is, that means you're usually cutting out macro food groups and entire items of food that you don't actually need to be cutting out of your diet, and are therefore actually depriving yourself of basic essential nutrients because you don't understand what a balanced diet is, which makes sense since you didn't know what gluten was anyway, right? So don't do that. That's dumb. If you're afraid of gluten, you're probably also afraid of carbs. You're just going to all carbohydrates blankly like, carbs are evil. No, they're not. You're just dumb. You don't understand what good carbs versus bad carbs are. So, fix that. Also, why else is this rampant gluten-free craze bad for you? Well, first of all, people sometimes think, well, if it's gluten-free, it's healthy. False. Gluten-free junk food is still junk food. It's still just as bad for you. It can still has high fructose corn syrup in it, which is way worse for you than gluten. So if you're like, I enjoy Oreos, which may or may not have gluten in them anyway, I don't know. But like not rice. Well, first of all, rice doesn't have gluten anyway. But you're like, I won't eat sprouted wheat bread, but I will spoon Hershey's syrup into my face rampantly, which honestly may also have gluten in it. I don't know. Because it's a sauce. We talked about sauces and how they might have gluten in them. Anyway, it's just gooey and sticky, so that's a thought. But I digress. That's not the important part. The important part is educate yourself. Read a label. Understand what the thing is before you just go cutting it out of your diet and maybe depriving yourself of good positive nutrients. Also, additionally, people with celiacs, they do exist. Oh, the other important thing, before we even get to those celiac people, right? If your actual issue is with a wheat allergy, you may still be exposing yourself to wheat products that are giving you an allergic reaction. Things like wheat grass juice, or that's a thing that I guess healthy people drink sometimes, will still give you an allergic reaction if you have a wheat allergy, but not a gluten sensitivity. So you may be actually still hurting yourself. If FODMAPs are your problem, maybe you're still eating too many foods high in FODMAPs. And rather than understanding what the hell is going on with your body. So there's that. And then there's also the case of people with celiacs. I'm sure it's great for them that so many gluten-free foods have become so prevalent, which is like wonderful. Yay, they have all these fun snacks that they didn't have before. Now, the flip side of that is that sometimes it can get very dangerous for people like that to eat out at a restaurant, because people with celiacs can be incredibly sensitive to even trace amounts of gluten. As in, if I made a sandwich with these hands and then tossed your salad with the same hands, the trace amounts of gluten from said bread could kill you from on said lettuce. So now these people are going to restaurants and everyone's like, gluten, you're gluten-free. All right, that's not real. I'll just pull these croutons off your salad, and then you eat the salad, and then you're sick for days. So don't do that to people with celiacs. That's not cool. You're probably not gluten intolerant. If you thought you were, so stop acting like it and educate yourself. Science! Why don't people ever learn things? Everyone's like, this one person said to do this thing and I feel better. One person does not constitute science. Science is studies, and it's multiple testing of theories and conclusions and things like that. So science yourself today. That's it. That's all. If you're offended, great. If not, I'll be offensive on another topic some other day. So, keep your panties on. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you know somebody who's gluten-free without a really good reason, send them this video. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you always know when I'm yelling about things. That's all. I will talk to you at a very soon time. I'm so good at words. I'm the best at words. I'm leaving now. Goodbye.